Hello everyone, this is Joe for Soft Corners here, and for today's video I am going to do my first part of my recap of the 2024 National in Cleveland. Today is Tuesday, the first week after the show, and it took till about today till I felt maybe somewhat back in the swing of things, just mentally and I guess sleep-wise, and just overall just kind of felt like in a fog the last couple of days, just getting used to sleeping more and maybe eating regular. But anyway, I wanted to break it down this way. Probably have 3 or 4 parts. I'm going to start off with day 0, which would be Tuesday when I got in, and then Wednesday. So along the way, I'm going to try and name as many names as possible. I know people often say they don't want to because they don't want to leave anybody off. But at the same time, I want to, this was one of the main focuses was the interactions with people. So I want to shed light on as many of those as possible. So we'll start Tuesday, left here around like 10 a.m., 9:30, 10 a.m. Got into Cleveland just after 4 o'clock. Was getting into the city like about 3:30, 20 of, and it started to downpour. So like right on the busiest section of road, and just so the last 20 minutes was pretty stressful. But hit our Airbnb right at like 4:03 or something like that. Just got beat there by Dave, Legends of the Dugout, and his son Grayson. We were the first ones to make it there. So we got to check out the house and everything. Followed up then by Matt from the Card Story and his family, his wife and kids. And then he also picked Drew, clean cheap shots up from the airport. And then we were basically off right away after we checked out the house a little bit to the Guardians game. So that was really cool. Unfortunately, I've not really made it to that many different stadiums in my life, or that many professional baseball games. So that was just really cool to check one off the list. And I thought it was a great place to watch a game, just coming in through the outfield. Just wide open look of the field was really cool, and got to see a couple home runs, including one from one of my favorite players, Jose Ramirez. So that was really cool. So anyway, I got back to the house after the game, and then Adam Vintage Sanctuary, John 3D 80s Kid, and Eddie from Eddie's Cardboard Chaos were all, their flights got in at similar times and took a ride in together from the airport. And then also kind of last minute, Chris from Missouri had trouble with his room, so it was him and his friend Coop and his son Cameron. And then also I believe they going to be staying, because of the travel and the way it went, also Billy Ballgame and Tom, I believe his name was, all stayed at our house the first night. Chris and Coop stayed for the rest of the week. Billy Ballgame and Tom, that was their only night. But it was just really cool. Just, that's where it started, just talking cards, and really where the lack of sleep started, just staying up real late. Next morning, got up, we're on the way to breakfast. Craig from Pastor Craig's Cards made it there right before we left, so he joined us. And then came back to the house. Everybody was getting ready to head over to the IX Center, get our passes for the show, start that. Right before we headed out, Jason, Everyday Card Collector, made it in. So he basically helped them carry his stuff in, turned right around, and we headed to the show. Had lots of time just in the VIP lounge downstairs, just getting used to seeing people and kind of the setup down there. Oh boy, so let's see. I remember I forgot my parking pass, so I headed out to the car. I forgot to put my parking pass in the car, so I headed out, went to put it in, and on the way back in, ran into John Mangini and Blue Rock TV. So just had time to kill, so I said, hey, they were running out to their car, so I just said, care if I just walk and talk with you guys? So got to hang out with them a little bit. So they made it to the car. John gave me one of his nunchuck cards, so that was really cool. Did not have one of those yet. Then while right before the show started, spoke on the phone with Theo from Clemente Collector and Dan from Dan's Vintage Baseball PC. Both those guys were just getting into town, so went back down to the show, and just that's when really a lot of different YouTubers started gathering around. Got to see John again down there, Rick Vintage Oddball Cards, Greg's Midlife Cards, Mike Scoots Collectibles, Brad 8671, John Wade Boggs fan gave me his custom, so got him. I saw him just on his way in, and then once we sat down at the table a little bit, got to see him a little bit again. Got that awesome custom from the 67 design. So that was basically it, just waiting for the show to hit. I didn't really have too much of a plan. I know Matt and I were talking that in Atlantic City I might have seen Ash's setup from Legacy Cards, but I didn't know if that's who I was looking at the time. So I know Matt was heading over there right away, so I just said I'd follow him and just see the setup, which once the line started moving in, that's the first place I went. Got to see Matt close the deal. I'm not gonna mention anybody else's deals they made, but got to see that, and then I believe he was headed off to PSA to try and drop some cards off. So as soon as I first walked into the show, I saw Mike from Scoots Collectibles. We headed over to Ash's table together, and then I know it was his first national, this only being my second, so not like I was a pro or anything, but still was past the feeling of being overwhelmed a little bit, even though it's always overwhelming just once you first start seeing anything. So I was walking around with him, we were just talking, looking at cards, and kind of went from where we were at and pushed into the corner. This was on the right side of the show, pushed into the corner and just started going, row by row, table by table, and trying to see stuff. And it was maybe about an hour and a half in, and I thought, wow, we're really making good progress. And I happened to turn around and see how far we made it, and it was literally like it was like we barely saw anything yet. So it was just pretty crazy. Like I said, didn't feel overwhelmed initially, but just realizing, okay, this is going to take a while to see everything. At that point, I believe Mike and I split up. I think there was something he wanted to go look at, so I just kept going. I think I ended up meeting up with Matt from the Card Story then. We were walking table by table, so that was pretty cool. And then I came upon a table and found my first card I ended up picking up. So this was one of my targets heading into the show. It's funny enough, this card I saw, I immediately recognized that I saw for sale on eBay for a few weeks. I didn't pull the trigger on it just because I thought I'd be able to find more or maybe a better deal at the show, but ended up seeing this one. So we'll just show it right away. This is, we'll show it with, I was debating I wasn't gonna name prices, but it's easier just to do. Plus, gives everybody a sense of maybe what deals could be had. I mean, if you go in with the kind of like a real expectation of what a decent deal you can get on a card is, I think there are deals to be had there. So I'm gonna take this out. So anyway, I don't remember, I think Matt and I spotted it together, and he immediately saw those are your Dale Ennis, Wilson Frank card. So this is maybe where, like I said, this was my first pickup, and this is maybe where like some of first realization started of the show. First, up until that point, I don't think I saw any cards from this set. Like I said, weren't real far in, but I mean, hit a pretty decent corner and a decent amount of vintage tables that by that point I thought would have seen some. And then second, I went in with, I did a video the morning I left, showing some of the cards I was taking along to trade. And I wasn't exactly sure how that was going to go. And at this first table where I, pulled some cards out and asked if they were interested, it did not go great. In my eyes, like I was willing. So this was stickered at $100. I think it was like 120 something on eBay or best offer. But I came in with, 3 different Koufax slabs and a Harmon Killebrew rookie and a PSA 2, which I paid $100 for at the Atlantic City National, and that's pretty much what they go for, maybe 95. So, I was willing to move that, just because there were cards I wanted more. So, I mean, being that this is just a common from the Wilson Frank set, I thought in a GAI slab, which I really don't care about, but I just thought most dealers would think the Killebrew rookie, Hall of Fame rookie card graded with PSA instead of GAI would be preferable. And it was a situation where it's just, there's a worker at the table, any kind of dollar amount or deal, he just has to go back to the table, to the guy running the booth, which there was literally nobody else there really like working on any kind of deal. So whoever's table it was could have been the one to negotiate, but had to do the back and forth thing, and just said not interested in any trades, which kind of blew my mind a little. Kind of thought, oh no, maybe these cards aren't going to be as easy to move as I thought. Then I was going back and forth. Matt kind of was talking to me too, and decided to, even though they weren't interested in trading, offered $85 on it, and was able to get the deal done with that. Like I said, not seeing any other cards from the set to that point, being at least over 2 hours into the show. Thought it was better just to grab it, and glad I did, because I did not, all told, maybe saw like 25 or 30 cards from this set at any table. I didn't dig through a lot of boxes, but in showcases, that's all I saw, and did not see another copy of this Del Ennis. So really happy I picked it up when I did. So that was the first pickup. This glare's bad. Okay. So then just kept trying to push down through the aisles, pick up or try and see as much as possible. I don't remember. I believe Matt and I separated at some point. I was just by myself. I was just going through table by table, and I saw the backdrop of the back of the booth of this one dealer, which I immediately recognized and was my favorite dealer and booth at the Atlantic City National. I believe his name is JD Heckathorn. The back of his setup in his booth just has a bunch of binders hanging from the wall, partial sets or complete sets, and then whole table was just all different binders of sets, and then some really good showcases. So I was excited to find that table right away. Started walking up and just seeing what was there, and immediately saw this card in the showcase, and as soon as I saw it, saw the centering on the front, I knew I was leaving with this card. This was another one of my targets coming in, so I'll just show it right away. So yeah, saw this in the corner of the case, and I just could not fast enough just ask him to see the card. And immediately as he handed it to me, see it was stickered at $475. He just handed it to me and said I could do $450 on that, and even at the sticker price, as soon as I saw it, I knew, seeing the centering on this and just the overall look of the card, I knew I was not, whether I had to pay cash or whatever, I was leaving with this card. But I decided to try. I said, so you see why it graded a 1 there, the paper loss right here. A little bit going on down there, and then on the front, just that little spot in the corner. But I mean, I absolutely love this card. This is exactly what I would have been looking for in this card. Just great eye appeal, but something to lower the price, and could not be happier that has that paper loss in the back. But so I pulled out my stack of cards, the 3 Koufaxes and the Killebrew. I kept going back to that table throughout the weekend. It was always really busy, especially people going through sets, and they happened to be not super busy at that time. And I said, do you mind looking at these? And he said, as long as it doesn't get busy, I can look at them. And started going through them. Was going through his showcases looking for cards that he could need. Ended up putting aside the 56 Topps Koufax and the PSA 5 and the 65 Koufax and an SGC 5. Said he'd be interested in those. I threw out a trade value of like $550 on it, so he had quoted me $450. So he said, well, I'm interested in those two, but we're apart here. And I knew if I probably asked for cash at all, it probably would not get much, or it would not be, he'd be willing, he'd value those cards at less. But he just said, so what do we do? Because you're ahead of me a little bit here. And I said, can I just pick something out from the table to try and close the gap a little bit? I'd be happy with that. And I'll take this out of the plastic now. He said, sure. But he said, just with the trade, I just have to win a little bit, which I totally got. So I kind of just came to the agreement, like if I came up with a card for about $50, that would be equal, which I was more than happy with. At that point, or sometime in this point, I just over the moon excited, because like I said, I know at this point I'm not leaving without this card, or I'm not leaving without this card. So just strictly focused on the deal and what's going on. And I hear voices say, boy, so enamored in this deal, he doesn't even notice who's standing next to him. And I look over and there's Drew from A Vintage Legacy and Dom from Saving Sports Cards. So definitely was, hoping to run into those guys. It was really cool that they were there at this moment that I was trying to close this deal, especially with Drew being a mutual fan as well. Was just so awesome. But at the same time, just wanted to get this done as quick as possible before it got busy. And he thought, in case he would have said, I don't have time to trade right now. So I said, I'm going to give you guys a huge bro hug once I close this, but for now, let me just look quick. So looked around the table. Didn't want to pick anything, just anything. But like I said, at the same time, kind of wanted to get the deal done. So kept looking around for maybe 5 or 10 minutes and ended up seeing this card. And this wasn't a card that, wasn't necessarily on my want list, but a card of his and also a card from this set were. So saw this. This is a 63 Flair Roberto Clemente. Was stickered at 65. I have this card from 60 Topps in my set, and I think maybe like a checklist card or maybe a leader's card, but other than that, I know I have a 73 Topps also as last card, but other than that, did not have much in my collection of Roberto. So love that in the midst of Topps calling him Bob. Love that it says Roberto. Has a little pen check down here, but didn't bother me at all. So I finally asked to see this one, picked it out, and just handed it to him and said, "How close are we?" And he looked at it a little bit and just said, I really would like to have like another $10 towards it." I didn't even hesitate. I said that's exactly what I was thinking, and got it done. So could not have been more happy. There's that one. But again, here's this. Could not have been more happy the first day to get this secured. Like I said, was just so excited. As soon as it was done, shook his hand, walked away from the table, just pumping my fist in excitement. And there were Drew and Dom still waiting, looking at it, the next table. Giving both a big hug and just reiterated how excited I was about this. But so like I said, was so happy to be able to find two of my main goals right off the bat. Especially did not think I would find a mutual card that perfect for me. That was pretty much it on the floor. Mention a few guys quick. Also, I know around the table there, Big Scott 35 was, so got to talk to him a little bit more, or a little bit with him. More to come when I hit the day 2 with Scott. Then out in the lobby, some of his roommates, got to see Mike O, Ed Westergriff, got to meet Mike Hitman 23. Really wish would have been able to talk with all those guys, especially Hitman, just because that's the first time I got to meet him. Dave's Midlife Card Crisis was also out there. Saw Brad 8671 again. He told us some of his pickups. I got to show my mutual to the guys, and it was just awesome. So made it out of there, got back to the place. Got to show everybody got to show their first pickups off. And I can't remember. I know the first night I had some gifts for everybody. I started giving them out, and then either that night or this night, I got these gifts. These are from Matt, the card story. First is this 63 Topps peel-offs, Stan Musial. So another great addition that I did not have. Some oddball stuff, which really going forward now is where my strategy, you'll see in the coming days, really took a turn. And I really started kind of focusing in on some of, well, I guess I already started with the Wilson Franks, but really started focusing in on some of the odder stuff. And I think I ended up with some great stuff and some really cool cards because of that. So we'll get more into that. Lastly, this was also a gift from Matt. He had started the set in CSG before they became dead to him. But this amazing 6.5, a few months back, he was just kind of telling some of the people on our group chat he was planning on gifting some of these to people. And Matt's I'll talk more about just kind of what he brought to the house and what he did for everybody collectively, him and his family. But just generosity is just unmatched, and could not ask for a better friend. So really great to hang out with Matt in person for the first time, and just really appreciated these. And like I said, all the guys at the house was just such a blast. We'll get into more of that later. Already rambled on enough here, but this is the end of day 0 and day 1, so we'll have more to come, more pickups. So thank you everyone for listening and watching. Let me know what you think of any of these pickups, and just remember, any card can be a great looking card even if it has 4 soft corners. Thank you.